I think I quickly understood that the show, I would say, in my opinion, is 90% reality show, 10% business. The interview process vigorous. In London, you got like the first stage process was just like a whole day lengthy process, and I suppose it's like what they do. It's almost like they test you mentally from the stage one just to see if you're going to be ready for the process itself, essentially. And it was a good insight for me to see how I would be like, how I would cope on the show as well. And it's funny with the building that you go in to have your stages. It's probably about 10 floors to it, and you go in and you have your first stage on like the bottom floor, and they basically you go in little groups and you're like, introduce yourself. You basically have no clue how you've done. All you do is you get escorted out, chaperoned out to the lobby bit, and if you've made it to the next stage, they press up on the lift. And I quickly figured this out. And then the ones that didn't will just be down. So you weren't told. It's all very elusive, and that's exactly what the process is like. I'm blabbermouth, and I'm trying to make small chat with them. I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? They're just like, silence, press button. It's mad. Like exactly how it is during the process as well. It's mainly about you. They get to know you. They get to know your business. And then they just interrogate you a bit about like, why do you think you should be good on this? Why are you good on this? What makes you stand up against the others? But also in between that, where there's so many of you, there's long waiting periods where you're just waiting and you have to wait in silence. No talking to anyone else. It's very rigid, and it's very like you could just be sitting there. Like, luckily I bought snacks. You're there all day, and it's literally one stage, right, in, out, and then you're sitting there for maybe like a couple of hours waiting. It's almost like just it gets them to build the tension up a bit. In my last one, when we done the group task, Onyeka actually put herself up for the project manager, and she was like, me and her actually had an argument on the actual process, because I thought she was doing it badly, and me and her had it out. It probably was one of the reasons why I thought, oh yeah, these two are feisty, like we'll get them on. So Onyeka was with me, and equally with the boys, I had quite a lot of people. I remember seeing Jack and thinking, oh, they're going to love him on camera. And Trey was on one of my tasks, and I just thought, yeah, he knows what he's talking about. So it's so funny. You spot a couple of people in the same process, and you kind of almost spot them as well yourself. Like, yeah, they do well. Like, you just kind of know, you could just kind of have a feeling with who's going to get on and who isn't. The final thing with the auditioning stage was basically they just like almost pick like your business apart a bit, sort of like it's kind of like almost like you're in that final five stage essentially. And I actually remember the producer saying, I'm going to give you 1,000 reasons to say no to this show, and then you can tell me whether you still want to continue your application. So he was like, right, so you might get your business completely picked apart. You're going to be away from your family and friends for maybe up to 12 weeks. You're going to get your phone taken away from you. You're going to get your passport taken away from you. You're not going to be able to be in the real world. You're going to be completely disconnected. You are going to be tested. You're going to be doing 12-hour filming days. You're going to be woken up at the crack of dawn at 3, 4 a.m. and maybe not getting in until 10, 11. All of this is actual truth, because this did happen. You're going to be exhausted. You're going to probably feel like you're treated like a child. You're going to have to be filmed, to do things over and over again. And my response was, well, if I don't try, then like, when will I kind of thing. I'm like, that's light work, like, that's fine, like, just bring it on. And I think as well, what they want to make sure is that you're not going to go on it and then be like, you never told me it was going to be like this, or you're not, you know, they half do it to test you, but they half do it to cover their backs as well. So it's like, you never told me you would take my phone away, or you never told me this or that. So yeah, it's mainly about telling you about how disconnected you're going to be from the real world. You have to wait a few weeks. Actually, they, you know, they do their checks as well, so make sure that, you know, you haven't got any misdemeanors, you haven't got any kind of like convictions or any dodgy stuff on social media. So outfit wise, I had to actually send all my outfits to be approved before I could actually pack anything. The blokes, I think, as well, so you can't clash with anyone. You have to, there's a reason why the women will wear bright stuff. So I sent like a lot of cream suits and grey suits, and he's like, it's just going to be flat on telly, you don't think about it. So the women all wear bright, even though the blokes don't. But you have to send, I mean, you go through so many different outfits, and they eventually do give you, I think it's a £500 allowance that they do send you for that. But apart from that, you don't get any, obviously, any compensation, any money. So if you're working and you're going to be out of pocket during the process, they won't give you anything until it airs, and then you get a bit of money then. So it's like, yeah, you kind of like buying 100 different outfits, and you've got to send every single one for approval until like they're like, okay, that's fine. So you can't wear anything unless it's been approved by production. So after it airs, so it's like a year later, it's all being that you haven't like broken any rules or anything like that, you get £1,000 flat fee. So you get £500 allowance up front for your costs of your you know, your outfits and everything like that, and then £1,000 after it airs. But while you're actually on the show and you're in the house or anything like that, obviously you have all your possessions are with them, your card, everything. And they basically, if you need anything extra, or like any extra toiletries or anything like that, you have to ask for your card and you have to purchase themselves, even down to things like you know, boys getting their hair cut or the girls getting their nails done. They were happy, like production were happy to organise that to come to the house where we were staying, but you had to use your own money to pay them. If you want a specific person or something like that, has to be like signed off by a production. So it can't be like you just call your mate to come down and get your nails done or anything like that. So whatever they're charging, you're paying essentially. So they might pop up their prices purely for the fact that they know that it's for a TV show and they need like privacy as well. Each week you get 10-minute phone call home once a week, or 15 minutes if you had children, FaceTime. That was it. But you had to have a member of production in the room with you while you had your call with your loved ones, just in case you said anything about the process. Then even things like when you're on task or if you're out and about, if you needed to go to the loo, you had to be chaperoned to the loo. So you had to be like, I need to go to the loo, who's going to take? And it almost became a running joke. And I used to say, oh, can someone take me to the toilet? Don't worry. And by the end of it, I was kind of like, do you know what? I need to go to the loo. I ain't going to do a runner. Don't worry. Just let me go. Like, we were all mic'd up, and it was just like, anywhere you go, it was like, where are you going? Need to be chaperoned, need to make sure that you're not, I don't really, it's almost like they need to make sure that you're not going to do a run-up. Who knows? It was mad. But even things like, if we had, in the house itself, there were like no tellies, no radio. even down to like the time on the ovens and stuff would change. So you didn't know what time of the day it was. But when you went on any trips, so if you stayed in like a hotel, they would they'd make the hotel cut off the tellies. So you couldn't have telly. You had to go in your own rooms in silence, and you had to go in there. You couldn't leave your room until a member of production came and got you. So let's say they'd come and get you in the morning. You don't know what time it is. You've no idea what time it is. You've got no music, no TV, absolutely nothing. So you had to kind of just wake up naturally and get ready. You know, I always thought it's so over the top, and I think even now when I look back to it, I think it's ridiculous. But their thought process is it's keeping your head in the game, and it's almost like keeping your sort of stress levels high, so that when you're on task, it's almost like, I have no idea. It's almost like you're on bloody SAS, not The Apprentice. And then like even things like when you're on task, you can't task talk. You actually have to, like in the interview process, silence. You have to be silent. You can talk if it's like maybe about, you know, the weather or your personal life. You can get to know each other, which is fine. But no task talking. If you want to talk about the task, it has to be on camera. So obviously you can't plot what you're going to do or anything like that, which I kind of understand. You just couldn't talk about the task. Even in so like when you're back at the house, if you were caught talking about the task at the house, you would be fined like time. So you'd be fined. So let's say you were on your task the next day, your team would be fined, like you'd have like half an hour less than the other team for talking about the task. Even if we had any banter about anything of the slightest, they'd be like, enough of that. No. They're very anti romances and thing. They're even quite anti, you know, getting close to people on a friendship level. Well, you'd be given the task. This is the task. And then the dossier would just explain the task to you, and then you would be given the opportunity to choose like your theme, or let's say your, you know, if it was like a branding task, like kind of what themes you wanted, but it was first come, first serve. So if one team wanted to do a blue theme and the other team wanted to do a green theme, you say, right, I want to do a blue theme, and then Karen or Tim would be like, let me check, and they might say, sorry, the other team got there first. Whether or not it's true, you don't know, because they kind of, obviously, like I said, it is a TV show and they need to produce it in a certain way. So they do kind of set you up for a loss most of the time and see how you deal with it. That's how I would explain tasks on The Apprentice. It's like they'll do everything they can to make you try and fail at it for TV purposes, and then it's just to watch how you basically react to that. You quickly realise that there's narrative forming in the tasks, because talking about the task, so I think blah 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 blah, so production will push you to be like, oh, how do you think she did, and you've not even thought about her, and you just thought, yeah, you're right, actually. And they almost like try and form a narrative, and you quickly realise, right, okay, well, they're gunning for that person this week. So it's hard, because it's like no matter how much you try, sometimes when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. And I remember the week that I left, it was the kids' cereal task, and they were like, right, you can pick from these images on the cereal box, and you know, this is the selection that you can pick from. You can't pick any images. This is the selection you can pick from. And I was like, okay, cool. You look at the selection thing, and there's no bowl. There's no bowl. There's no cereal symbol. There's nothing. There's a bunch of fruit. So you had to basically just use the fruit. And then you get to the boardroom, and Lord Sugar says, you've put no bowl on there. And you kind of have to just go along with it and be like, yeah, but in your mind, and all of you know, it's because you weren't given a bowl. And then you look at the other team and it's like, they've got a bowl on their cereal box. So they push narrative, and they kind of make sure, don't get me wrong, like, it was, you know, like I said, it's for telly, but it's crazy. It's like, when you know it's your time to go, you know, you don't expect it unless you've done really, really badly, but they kind of push that narrative onto you. I do feel like from the offset, Lord Sugar has his favourite businesses that he would want. I feel like he's got like at least 3 or 4 businesses that he wants to invest in from the offset. And I feel like they'll be pushed through no matter how they perform on task or how they are on camera. He's actually, for his age, he's very witty. He does come out with some good one-liners, but the problem with his jokes is they can be quite old school and inappropriate without him even realising. And obviously, in this day and age, you can't be like that. So I think naturally production had to kind of edge his jokes to be a bit more PG. But do you know what? I will give it to him. He's really on the ball considering his age. And he does come out with some, I mean, his inappropriate jokes I found hilarious, but obviously you can't really, you know, say certain things. But he's actually, I think, you know, obviously there's times where you do naturally laugh, but there are times where productions had to feed him a joke to make it a bit more TV relevant, and you do have to do a good giggle. But I think as well, as much as he's looking for a business partner, he wants to make a TV show as well. And I remember on one boardroom, and we were kind of all a bit like, do you know what, you done all right, actually, and you done all right. There's no one that none of us were like kind of like digging each other out. And I remember being sent out the boardroom, and we overheard him saying, why are they not shouting at each other? Why are they not screaming at each other? Come on, I need some arguing. And I think we were all like, oh my God. So it's almost like, you can't be nice. You can't be nice on that show. They want you to fight. They want you to argue, and they want you to clash.